Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. I have changed the title of today's message again. It is Working to Improve Your Life. You know, you start out thinking you're going to go in a certain direction, and then things change, and it's a challenge, you know, because you want to be flowing with it, okay? But this morning, I would like to ask you whether or not you consider yourself to be someone who is hungry and thirsty for righteousness, someone who is merciful, someone who is pure of heart, a peacemaker, or you're feeling like one of the persecuted. Because I believe most everybody will find themselves, at least at some point in life, in one of these five, in the categories of one of these five of the last Beatitudes. And we're going to study these five today. We explored the first three last week. Beatitude number 4. When Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be satisfied," what was he talking about? Some of you know that I enjoy commercials. I like them because some of them are very creative, very colorful, very alive, okay? And for me, it's kind of fun. It's a kind of Sherlock Holmes thing, okay? What is their point? How are they getting this across? Is it working? Okay. I have difficulty with pizza commercials. Now, they will start showing you the crust. Okay, in some of these commercials here, you actually see them putting the toppings on and sliding it into one of those Dutch ovens on the tray. And you are able to look through that little window where you see the cheese bubbling up, okay, and in my case, the pepperoni cooking, okay, the extra cheese and the peppers on there kind of popping, okay. And it's very tough for me because I love pepperoni pizzas, okay, always have. It's kind of a weakness for me. And when I do get a pizza pie from Caesar's, I eat my 2 slices. Sometimes I have just one, and I have a bowl of salad, okay? And in my mind, that redeems the pizza. And besides, cheese is protein, right? That's good. I wanted to share with you something I heard about a young man who was very enterprising. And this particular commercial took place at a beach. And it was a hot, hot day, and the young and old were out enjoying the water. He pulled his van up there on the sand, and he got out and he put 2 big speakers on the hood of his van. And he got himself a can of Pepsi, and he got near the microphone, and he pulled back the pull tab on the can, and people began to take notice and wonder what that was, okay? And when he pulled that tab off and then began pouring that soda over a glass of ice, and it began sizzling and crackling, okay? People got up, and then he called through the microphone. Before he did that, he set up his booth, his soda booth, and he called through the microphone, "Anybody want a Pepsi?" And they came. Now, I thought that was pretty fun. That was creative, because I can imagine hearing the sound of that pull. If you don't drink soda from a can, then you probably have no way of correlating or relating to this, okay? But having that pulled and having that sizzle sound, pouring it over the ice, okay? And it's hot, okay, and you're sweating, and this is cold. Now, some people, I think they probably do that with beer, but I'm not a beer drinker, so that commercial doesn't grab me, okay? And I'm really a Coca-Cola person, not Pepsi, okay? But I'm trying to wean myself off of that because there's a lot of sugar in it, okay? And I do like water, okay? So we're good. But Jesus was certainly not talking about the kind of hunger and thirst that can be satisfied with 2 slices of pepperoni pizza and a can of Coke. He was talking about something much, much deeper, at the heart of who we are. It is that search for something. Some call it the call of soul. That hunger and thirst for something more. And some ask, is this all there is to life? That is the kind of hunger and thirst that Jesus was talking about when he shared this beatitude. In his book, Discover the Power Within You, Eric Butterworth says that what's important and what Jesus was really talking about was not the physical hunger and thirst, but the conscious attitude and this desire to be open to something more, something better. He said, it's kind of like if you are lying in the gutter. The only way that you're going to be able to get out of the gutter, he said, is if you look up and you reach for something higher than where you are. But then you have to have a certain attitude toward yourself that you are worthy of something more. Now, that gutter experience can be anything that is troubling us. It can be any problem or challenge that we are being faced with, especially if that seems to be dragging us down and keeping us down. That's what the gutter is for most of us. And so we have to, he says, have a hunger and a thirst for something more, which causes us to reach out, reach up, and to be willing to do whatever we need to do to stay out of that gutter experience, to lift ourselves from it, be free from it, be healed from it. And the truth is that this is an activity of God's love in our life, okay? We don't need to earn this love, which is a healing power in us. It is freely given to us. Jesus said it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and that kingdom is every kind of good we can conceive of and good that we can't even conceive of. This is given to us. But we have to have a certain attitude toward ourselves to be willing to accept this good in our lives. Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his book, You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter, he talks about meditation as a way to experience this opening in us. He said meditation takes us from survival to creation, from separation to connection, from imbalance to balance, from the emergency mode to growth and repair mode, and from the limiting emotions of fear, of anger, and of sadness to the expansive emotions of joy and freedom and love. Beatitude number 5, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. TV evangelist Joyce Meyer said that mercy is something that we give to those who don't deserve it. And when I heard this, I thought, I have problems with that. Because how do we know who deserves what? It causes us to have to make a negative judgment about someone. And we can't see all that that person is, all that they have experienced in their lives. Being merciful, instead, is a lot like being forgiving, which we do for ourselves. We forgive because we need the blessing of being freed and released from the negativity. Another definition, mercy is love that seeks to forgive, console, to assist, and to care for others in times of need. Mercy is an act of love, compassion, and kindness done without expecting a return because it's done for love. It comes from who we are, not because of who someone else is or because of what is done or what is not done. I was impressed by the kindness of the Terminator, who expressed in a letter to someone who was depressed a way that they could move forward. There is a blog called Upworthy. Don't know if you're familiar with it, but in a publication that they put out on August 22nd, just 4 days ago, Al, who is a Reddit user from Quebec, was dealing with depression, and he saw a video of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the 8-time Mr. Olympia, the former California governor. Arnold Schwarzenegger, say it for me? Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in this video pumping iron, and he was preparing himself for his next Terminator video. Anyway, Al looked at this video, and he decided, just on a whim, he was going to reach out and write Arnold. Okay? And so he did. He sent the governor a direct message through the online forum, and he was asking for help from Arnold. He thought that Arnold could help motivate him. He wrote, I know this is pandering, but I've been depressed for several months now, and I haven't been able to go to the gym during this time. Mr. Schwarzenegger, can you please tell me to get off my lazy butt and hit the gym? I swear to everything I hold dear that I will snap out of it and go. Well, I was blown away when Arnold Schwarzenegger responded to this message, and it wasn't a simple get up off your butt, and get to the gym. Instead, it was a heartfelt message that showed to this man that Arnold knew what depression was like. Arnold wrote back saying, I'm not going to be that hard on you, and please don't be that hard on yourself. He said, we all go through challenges. We all experience failures. Sometimes life itself is our workout. He said, but the key thing is you get up. You get up out of bed, decide to move a little, he said. Do some push-ups or go for a walk, one step at a time. And he said, I hope you feel better and you get back to the gym. But don't beat yourself up, because that's just useless talk. And it's not going to get you to the gym any faster if you do that. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And he wrote good luck, and he signed it. Someone else, another man, saw this feed online. It was being shared on Twitter. And he wrote Arnold that he had a couple of his friends who had been severely depressed for several months. And when he saw this response to Al, he was encouraged. And he said his friends were encouraged. And they all got up off their butts and went to the gym. And this man wrote that now his friends don't feel as badly about themselves because they have started doing something, going back to the gym. And he said, thank you, Arnold, for helping my friends, kind sir. Arnold gave all the credit to Al for inspiring them all by starting that, opening that whole idea up, and for writing him. And Al wrote back, and he said, when I received your notice, I jumped out of bed. And I'm getting dressed, and I'm heading to the gym. I'm going to be doing 5x5s. I'm not a person who hits the gym, so I'm not sure what a 5x5 is, okay? But apparently it was some form of routine, because he went on to say, I'm going to do squats, I'm going to do an overhead press, and I'm going to do the deadlift, just to get the rust out of myself. And then I'm going to snap out of it. Thank you. And then he continued, I wish everybody reading this comment would know how good it feels to have Arnold Schwarzenegger personally give you encouragement. I feel overwhelmed, he said, but in a good way. And as the cliche goes, I do have tears of joy in my eyes. And I'm off to the gym. Arnold concluded his response by writing back, and he said, I saw that you were pumping other people up, and I love it. Keep it up. Thank you. Mercy is an expression of kindness and compassion to pump ourselves up and to pump others up when they need it. This is our work. Beatitude number 6. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Being pure in heart means cultivating the ability to see with something other than your physical eyes. See with your heart. See with your mind, your understanding. It means that we shall be blessed, be happy when we are able to see beyond the world of lack and limitation, to behold the presence and activity of God everywhere, in everyone, in everything. In the September issue of O magazine, Oprah shares an experience which she said opened her eyes to begin viewing people differently. She writes a column in each of her magazines called What I Know for Sure. This is what she wrote in the September issue. She wrote, I once interviewed a group of women who were in prison for killing their children. When we finished, one of the inmates said, you're the first person who's come to us to speak to us as if we're human beings rather than monsters and murderers. She asked Oprah, how can you do that? And Oprah said, I could feel your pain, and I recognize that all pain is the same. We just choose different ways to release it. And this is what you chose to do with yours. You killed your children. Unspeakable. The depths of that crime, the horror, the shame. But she wrote, my ability to set aside my preconceived notions and see those women as hurting human beings gone wrong, not monsters of evil, like some have been labeled in the press. She said, this changed the way I view everyone. I started to see that everyone is really doing the best that they know how at any particular moment. And even when they know they can do better and can't seem to do it, they still desire to be able to do that. She said, what if you're willing to see your whole life differently? Say like from 30,000 feet away. What if you could see everything that you've been through, everything that you've stood up to, every time that you've fallen and you've gotten back up, every time that you have rebounded, every time when a curveball was thrown at you, you caught it. Every time when you were disappointed and you didn't stoop and stop in despair. Every victory, every chance, and appreciate the fact that you're still here, you're still standing, and you're still striving for a better life for yourself. She said, I hope you give yourself a round of applause for making it this far. And then see yourself as part of the whole of this planet. What gifts do you have to offer? What was your reason for coming? What I know for sure, Oprah wrote, is that the answers keep unfolding in us as our life expands. And if we're willing to see things for what they are and what we can be blessed. And this is our work, to see this way. Blessed are the pure in heart. Beatitude number 7, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Eric wrote that we have for so long functioned as human beings that we have forgotten that we're more than human beings. We have forgotten the divinity is within us. Sometimes we don't feel like we are expressions of God. Sometimes in our humanness, we don't act like we are children of God, expressions of God. We express in the world as less than we are capable of. What we all need to realize, Butterworth says, is that help is always available from God, but it doesn't actually come from God. It comes through us as the activity of God. He suggests that we begin calling ourselves children of God. Calling ourselves this, believing it, and choosing to act as if we are children of God, for we are. He says we don't have to worry about changing the world if we are choosing to act as what we are, children of God, expressions of God, because he says the world will change as we change. Being a peacemaker is not about something that we need to do in the world. It really is about how we are to be in the world. We work to build this be attitude into our consciousness. We may affirm, I am a child of God and I act like it. I'm a radiating center of peace and love and I act like it. When we can remember to center ourselves in this truth, whenever life calls us to enter the fray of situations and problems, we will allow God to work wonders in us and through us. Beatitude number 8, blessed are they that suffer persecution for justice' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. There certainly are challenges to living every day, but the emphasis here is again on our attitudes about ourselves, our attitude toward others, our attitude toward life itself. The persecution takes place within our own mind, and the persecutor is our error thoughts. There is an element in our experience here that whenever we seek to do something more with our lives, to be better people, to express divine love and peace, we're always challenged with opportunities to, how should I say, to make firm our commitment to grow spiritually. We're always given opportunities to be challenged. And even Jesus was challenged, because we know that after he was baptized in the River Jordan by John the Baptist, and the story goes, he came up out of the water and the dove came down and the heavens opened up. You can just visualize this scene, okay? Although some commentators say that this was not something that other people saw. This was a vision just for Jesus. And he heard the voice of God who said, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." Remember, this all happened before Jesus ever did anything. He hadn't started his ministry. As far as we know, he hadn't started healing. Well, this is a gift to us as well, because before we ever have to do anything at all, we are loved just because. We don't have to earn that love with great works. We are loved because. Jesus had to grapple with this himself, because right after this glorious experience, okay, he's on top of the world, okay, feeling good, feeling blessed, feeling holy, okay, it says the Spirit forces him into the wilderness. I thought that's a curious expression, okay, but it tells me that this was something he needed to do. And he is tempted by Satan, who in our metaphysical understanding is an aspect of the ego self. And he is tempted to use his spiritual powers, his spiritual gifts in selfish ways. And he is able to withstand this temptation and eventually says, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Okay? And this is a lesson for us as well. The persecutor is within us. We are challenged when we decide to do something better with our lives, do something different. When we want to start a project, all of these challenges for growth come into our experience. And this shares with us that we are not alone in dealing with any of the challenges that life faces us, because of this presence in us called the Christ. So Jesus was showing that we're all tempted at times to express less than the good that we know, less than the good that we are capable of expressing. Humanly, we make mistakes and we miss the mark that we have for ourselves by succumbing to fears and failures and worry and anxiety and judging ourselves and judging other people. And this is the persecutor in us. We have to work at being supernatural. New York Times bestselling author and lecturer Joe Dispenza, I mentioned him before, he writes and lectures with a passion for exploring how people can use the findings from modern-day science, from neuroscience, from epigenetics and quantum physics for not only healing ourselves, but also so that we can enjoy a more fulfilled and happy life. His latest book is Becoming Supernatural, How Common People Are Doing the Uncommon. This book came out in October 2017. Dr. Dispenza shares a perfect ending for this message about the work that we need to do to improve our lives and the world. And this is from his book, You Are the Placebo. He writes, how do you and I become supernatural? We have to begin doing what's unnatural. That is, to give in the midst of crisis, when everyone else is feeling lack and poverty, to love when everyone else is feeling anger and resentment. We have to choose to not judge when others are tearing people down. We must choose to demonstrate courage and peace when others are displaying hostility and aggression. And we must be willing to surrender to the possibility when the rest of the world is aggressively pushing to be first, trying to control everything, and trying to beat everyone else to the top. He said, we have to be willing to knowingly smile in the face of adversity and to cultivate the feeling of wholeness when we have been diagnosed as sick. This is how you and I become supernatural. In summation, how we work to improve our lives. Be hungry, be thirsty for the right things in your life. Be merciful, compassionate, not because other people deserve it or you deserve it, but because you're a child of God, they're a child of God. Drop the judging. Cultivate the pure eyes that are able to see beyond lack and limitation, beyond the misbehavior of others, even our own misdeeds. To see with pure eyes that God is good is there, no matter what. Know yourself as a peacemaker. Build this idea into your consciousness. You are a child of God, and you act like it. You are a source of peace in your own life and in the world, and you act like it. Often, and remember that persecution often comes from our own challenges, our own way of thinking about ourselves, our own attitude toward ourselves and others. It really isn't out there. Or if it is out there, we have taken it and it has become a part of us. And we can learn to forgive it and release it. We shall be satisfied, obtain mercy, see God, be called the children of God, and realize the kingdom of heaven. And this is how we work to improve our life. And now, I invite you to sit back and let's explore some of these ideas for just a short while in meditation.